So after Dustin Poirier got the victory against Conor McGregor in the main event of UFC 264, Poirier versus McGregor 3, I feel like the only logical next fight to make is Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier for the lightweight world championship. Charles Oliveira making his first defense of his 155-pound title against Dustin Poirier. I know that Dana White kind of left open the idea that maybe they could be making a quadrilogy between Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor, but right now that fight doesn't make any sense, and I also understand that Dustin Poirier left open the idea that maybe there could be another fight with Conor McGregor next, but it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I don't want to see a quadrilogy between the pair of them. Maybe later on you can make that fight again purely because of the way the trilogy ended, but to have that fight happen again 3 times in a row right now in the lightweight division, you can't do that. Charles Oliveira needs contenders, and he needs them right now because there's not really anyone else that he can defend against that makes sense other than Dustin Poirier. In all honesty, Dustin Poirier seems like maybe the lightweight champion himself right now. He's got much better wins than Charles Oliveira, arguably. Oliveira, Dustin Poirier next, makes all the sense in the world. Plus, even if you did want to make the quadrilogy between Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier, McGregor's leg's broken. What, we're going to have Poirier wait until McGregor's leg heals itself? He took no damage in the bout. He did take some shots, don't get me wrong, so he's not going to be able to immediately turn back around. I'm sure he wants a little bit of a break to heal up his leg and his body and just the general bruising that you're going to get from a fight. But he didn't break anything. He didn't get concussed. He didn't get dropped all over the place and really badly beaten, and now he's got to recover and he's got to get all these stitches on his head. I feel like Dustin Poirier could turn around maybe in November as the main event of a pay-per-view against Charles Oliveira, make it happen. I thought I'd give my early prediction on the fight, who I think's going to win, what I think about the matchup being made. This is somewhat to determine the real lightweight champion of the UFC. I know Charles Oliveira is officially seen as the lightweight champion. I see Charles Oliveira as the lightweight champion. And also, if you look at it like this, Michael Chandler destroyed Dan Hooker in round 1. Poirier took him 5 hard rounds and lost 2 of those rounds as well. Charles Oliveira beat Michael Chandler by second round finish, but he also got nearly finished in the first round against Michael Chandler quite badly. So, it's an entertaining matchup. Both guys have a claim. I reckon Charles Oliveira is the legit champ. He's got the belt around his waist, but Dustin Poirier begs to differ. His resume is way better than Charles Oliveira, and also he's much higher up than Charles Oliveira on the pound-for-pound list. The challenger of a division is higher up on the pound-for-pound list than the champion of the division in Charles Oliveira. Poirier, I believe, is number 6 right now. The winner of this one could definitely get themselves right into the top 5 of the pound-for-pound situation. Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira, amazing matchup. I feel like Poirier might get the win against Charles Oliveira. I'm done doubting him. I've picked him throughout his career. I've picked against him at some moments, and now I'm done doing it. I picked him in the early stages, towards the end of his career, around, not the end of his career, but towards the sort of climax of his career with the big massive fights. I have picked against him in terms of the Max Holloway fight. I thought Holloway could get the better of him. I actually picked him to beat Khabib, and I also said that if he pulls a guillotine in the 3rd round, he's going to probably lose, and that's what happened. But either way, lost to Khabib. I've picked him, I've picked against him. I feel like I'm going to trust Dustin Poirier as maybe the best lightweight on the planet to go out there and beat Charles Oliveira, especially after watching Michael Chandler do real damage to Charles Oliveira in that first round. And also just watching someone like Michael Chandler, who does have good jiu-jitsu, don't get me wrong, but probably equal level jiu-jitsu to Dustin Poirier. Like, Poirier's got really, really good jiu-jitsu himself. He's a threat on the ground to other people in fights, including Conor McGregor. I feel like after watching Michael Chandler have his back taken by Charles Oliveira and finding a way out of it and getting back on top and landing good shots and recovering from a bad situation, it kind of seems less dangerous in the submission game of Charles Oliveira. Watching someone escape, watching Kevin Lee scramble out of positions of danger for 2 rounds before the very end where he put himself in a guillotine going for a bad takedown. Especially after also watching Tony Ferguson fight Beneil Dariush. That does kind of take away from Charles Oliveira's performance. Watching someone like Dariush go out there right after Oliveira did something and do exactly the same thing with relative ease against Tony Ferguson, and just watching Tony Ferguson basically have no strength to get back up whatsoever. It wasn't even a technique issue. He just doesn't really have the testosterone anymore. It does take away from Oliveira's win a little bit. I do believe that Oliveira is a very dangerous threat to Dustin Poirier. He could KO Dustin Poirier. He could submit Dustin Poirier. There are many things that he could do. I just don't believe that he would so easily get Dustin Poirier down to the ground. Dustin Poirier's takedown defense is very good. I don't think Charles Oliveira's grappling in terms of positional dominance is as good as Khabib's. Maybe his submission ability is around the same. Like, I think if Charles Oliveira got Gaethje to the canvas and was in half guard, he would probably quite easily pass over and get the rear naked choke. But Poirier is very good on the ground, very capable, and I feel like on the feet where it starts, Dustin Poirier is the best striker in the lightweight division. I think he proved that against Conor McGregor twice. Even though he won those fights by using different techniques in the second fight, he straight up outstruck Conor McGregor. Maybe not by the numbers, but he landed the more effective shots that rocked Conor McGregor against the cage and put him away. Dustin Poirier right now is the best lightweight striker on the planet, in my opinion. Maybe even one of the best strikers in the UFC. I mean, he has a win over Max Holloway in a striking-only bout as well, where he went 5 hard rounds. I feel like if this goes past the first 2 rounds against Charles Oliveira, Poirier's going to have a massive, massive advantage. And that's something that I really like betting on for Dustin Poirier. That backup that other fighters may not have when they go down and get hurt, or they empty out their load and they get a little bit tired. I feel like Dustin Poirier has that reserve tank. Like, he can just go to this other tank of energy in the last few rounds where he's fresh again in a bout where the guy has taken a lot of damage in front of him and is maybe breathing a little bit heavy. Dustin Poirier can still put on the pressure in those later rounds. He's a big guy as well. Charles Oliveira has taken on some guys in the lightweight division, don't get me wrong, but Chandler, a little bit shorter, very stocky guy, don't get me wrong, but a little bit shorter on the feet, not too big of a guy. Tony Ferguson, a little bit old, a little bit brittle nowadays. Of course, before that, Charles Oliveira's competition levels, Nick Lentz, who's now at featherweight, Daniel Tamer. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of the wins that Oliveira has before his last few are a little bit iffy, in all honesty, but he's beaten them in very spectacular fashion. I just believe that Dustin Poirier's stand-up would be enough to catch Charles Oliveira on the feet and not let Oliveira just push him back against the cage, because Chandler didn't let Oliveira push him back against the cage, and I think Poirier's just so educated of a fighter now. Experience is something that you cannot buy. You have to earn through going out there and fighting the best of the best. And for Poirier, as much as this is Oliveira defending his belt, for Poirier, this fight doesn't really mean too much. Like, fair enough, it's getting that belt, the lightweight undisputed title, but he's already had his title shots in his career. He's had an interim belt wrapped around his waist. He's beaten Conor McGregor, the biggest name in the sport, twice officially now on paper, ended the trilogy there. Poirier's kind of used to these big moments now, whereas before, maybe against Khabib in Abu Dhabi, the big terrifying Khabib, undefeated, no one's got a chance of beating him, it's up to Poirier, going to Abu Dhabi in absolute crazy temperatures over there to try and beat Khabib. Maybe it got a little bit over the top. Poirier kind of had a bit of an adrenaline dump, the pressure got to him. It would normally to every other fighter as well, having that first opportunity with it all on the line, on the biggest stage in front of a massive crowd in Khabib's area. But then Poirier's got that experience now. I feel like he'd go out there against Charles Oliveira, calm, cool, collected. I think he's better than some of the guys that Charles Oliveira has beaten. I think he would whoop up Tony Ferguson. I think Poirier would also beat Michael Chandler, especially now that Oliveira has put him away in the second round. I think that Dustin Poirier is so underrated. I picked him against McGregor here in the trilogy. He got the job done by TKO. Not in the way that I wanted him to, but it looked like it was going the way that I expected the fight to go. I thought Poirier would go out there, get spinning back kicked in the body, which I called, by the way. I thought he'd reverse the position, end up in a certain scrappy exchange, and then use it to get the clinch on McGregor, push him against the cage, get the takedown, do some ground and pound, and then start doing that more and more as the rounds went on. It was going in that direction. Either way, McGregor's foot breaks. Oh well. I feel like Poirier would beat Charles Oliveira, man. Better stand-up, great takedown defense. I don't see Oliveira just picking up Dustin Poirier and dunking him on the canvas. Poirier's got real good takedown defense. You never see anyone just pick up Dustin Poirier and dunk them down, and Poirier runs through some lightweights, man. He's gone through Conor McGregor now, he's been through Anthony Pettis, he's been through great names in the lightweight division. Eddie Alvarez, kind of officially twice, but the first one was a no contest because of Alvarez's illegal knee. Beat Justin Gaethje as well, took a whole bunch of damage there. I just like Dustin Poirier's patience when he's losing, and I think he's better at doing that than a lot of fighters. And I know that Charles Oliveira gets a lot of credit for surviving Michael Chandler, and people are saying stuff like, this proves that now Oliveira has heart. He didn't get hit with an amazing shot by Chandler. He got put down, he covered up, and Chandler just sat in guard with him. Let's be real here. Okay, I know I picked Chandler in that fight, so I could be a little bit biased. If Michael Chandler wasn't mentally retarded and said, you know what, Oliveira, I've just dropped you. You're a jiu-jitsu expert. We've got 2 minutes left in the round. Stand the fuck back up so I can KO you. He probably would have KO'd Charles Oliveira. Bad mistake by Michael Chandler, a mistake I don't see Dustin Poirier making. I do not see him going out there with a head coach like Mike Brown with a game plan of going to the ground with Charles Oliveira. No way, no how. I think he'll keep it standing, alleviate some pressure after the first round. Oliveira will try close the distance, jump in front kicks, good shots as well, maybe some lead hooks, try and catch some check hooks on Dustin Poirier. But Poirier's boxing is so amazingly good. I think after that first round of explosivity on the feet from Charles Oliveira, Poirier will rule the distance. He will start landing some really good shots. I think it's time to stop doubting him. I think he would beat Charles Oliveira, and I would go with... I think Oliveira puts up an amazing fight. I don't think he goes out in the first round, in the second round. I think that I'd go with Dustin Poirier by third round TKO. I think that's a real good round to pick for Dustin Poirier. Not too tired in the later rounds to really put it on the pedal and really go for a finish, but also the other guy is not so fresh where he can easily recover from the shots you're landing. I think Poirier would push an amazing pace on Charles Oliveira. Lose the first round 10-9. I will openly admit that he will lose the first round 10-9. Second round comes around, I see 10-9 Dustin Poirier. Third round, I see a 10-8 or a finish for Poirier by TKO. I think he'd eventually overwhelm Charles Oliveira. Under pressure, I don't like Oliveira's stand-up too much. At range, where it's one shot for one shot, Oliveira can have a real good chance. But when there's flurries against the cage, like Chandler was landing on him, Oliveira does leave himself open in certain areas. Once that range is closed, Oliveira gets a little bit James Vick-ish with some of his defense. Not as bad as James Vick, don't get me wrong. But still, Oliveira gets a little bit flaily-armed whenever you've got him against a cage and you're unloading a lot of shots at once. That's what got him dropped against Michael Chandler. Chandler's very explosive, don't get me wrong. I just don't see Oliveira finishing Poirier in round one. Maybe he could go out there, hurt Poirier, Poirier shoots a bad takedown, Oliveira gets a guillotine. Maybe. But that's a really perfect situation that has to happen. Poirier doesn't need perfect situations. He just needs a fight to take place. If a fight takes place, Poirier will eventually get the better of it. Oliveira needs to catch Poirier in a perfect situation for himself. That's a little bit tougher than what Poirier has to do out there. I think Poirier would win. If he does win, I'd like to see him maybe continue to defend his belt. Maybe he would go up to 170 and try out his luck there. Who knows? Maybe if Covington beats Usman in the rematch. I don't believe he would, but Usman's kind of blocking a lot of fun matchups right now. If Covington was the welterweight champion and Poirier beats Charles Oliveira, both at the end of this year, around the same time, maybe even on the same card, who knows? That could happen. Covington, Poirier. 170 belt on the line. Poirier real GOAT status on the line as well. I'd watch that fucking fight. Covington and Poirier, they got beef, they got animosity, they got former training partner history as well. Make that fight if that's the case. Even against Usman, I'd watch that as well because, listen, man, 155 is a real good. People are talking about McGregor fading in his career. RDA was fading in his career. Look what happened when he moved up to welterweight. Look what Chiesa is doing at welterweight right now as well. Welterweight is the division to go to. Masvidal, right towards a title shot. Couldn't even crack top 10 in the lightweight division. It's a real good position to be in. Going up to the 170-pound division as a 155er. 155 has proven itself time and time again to be the most skillful division in the UFC, in my opinion. So, I'm open to all ideas for Poirier moving forward if he does beat Oliveira. But if Oliveira wins, you've got more fun matchups. Active champion. Looking forward to it. I know at the press conference, it won't be too much of an anticipated fight, but Poirier has got a lot of star power now. I mean, how many followers does Dustin Poirier have? I'm sure he's got a lot of them after beating McGregor the second time. 3.4 million. Posting stuff that gets 286k likes in 2 hours. This is actually a star power guy right now, in all honesty. Real big star power for Dustin Poirier. He's 2 days ago, 445,000 likes. The guy is a real star. He gets views. He gets followers. He's got a following that love him. Celebrities tune in to watch him fights. He's got celebrity contacts. I feel like Dustin Poirier could actually be a star moving forwards. Even without the trash talk, I'd love to see a fight between him and Oliveira next. Make it happen. I don't want to see no fucking dumb quadrilogy between Poirier and McGregor. Come on. If it is going to happen, just let it breathe. 2 fights each. come back around to it if they're both winning. If McGregor wins 2 in a row at lightweight and wants to continue and beats a Nate Diaz or a Tony Ferguson and then beats the winner of Gaethje versus Chandler, who's a top contender at the time, and puts himself back in that title elimination bout, and then Poirier beats Oliveira in the meantime, and then another guy who he defends against, maybe a Beneil Dariush with one more win against maybe an Rafael Dos Anjos or something like that. Maybe then we could make the quadrilogy, but come on, man. We ain't even making an immediate trilogy between Holloway and Volkanovski, like, and that was like a razor-close second fight that Volkanovski won. 3 rounds to 2. Get over it. Thank you. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Dustin Poirier round 3 TKO. Don't see Oliveira getting a finish. And if it's a fight, and a fight plays out, that's Poirier's advantage. Goodbye. Toodle pip.